What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige with the Paige, and today we're going to be doing the rainbow book tag. This book tag was originally created by Marie Reads Books, and I'll leave the link to their blog post down below, but I originally saw this on Chloe Reads Books channel, and so I'll leave a link to their video down below as well. This is just going through the colour of the rainbow and picking a book that matches to the prompt of what they've assigned to each of the colours. The book itself doesn't have to be the colour of the rainbow, I don't believe, so let's dive in and talk about what books I've picked. So the first book is Red, a book that makes you angry. And obviously I need to go with Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars by, I can't even remember their name, I just wrote dumb fuck on my piece of paper.
Editing me here. So just to clarify, the title is actually Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, but apparently my feminist brain cannot handle with the way that women are treated and represented in this book, so I put them first to make me feel better.
So this gets me angry because it is basically advice that is toxic, counterproductive, and just plain sexist. So reading it after having a tonsillectomy was not my finest work and has really made me furious every time I think about this book. I also did rip pages out and it was as cathartic as you would hope it would have been. I would prefer people read 50 Shades over this. I feel like it just is completely horrendous. But that's just my opinion. I know people have gotten shit out of it, but yeah. Next is Orange, a book that gets you fired up. And for that there are multiple different ways of interpreting this, but I've gone one that gets me feeling very passionate, and that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Also Orange Tab, that's just coincidence. This really got me furious towards the justice system and the fact that Chanel Miller has so eloquently put words to a lot of people's struggles, and sadly from their own personal experience. The way that she takes this event and reclaims herself just was so beautifully done, and it's so painful to read. It gets me so just wanting to tear down the system and make the changes that are necessary but aren't going to happen anytime soon. And so it's always sat with me as such an impactful read, and I think because her way of writing just makes you feel all the emotions. She gets you fired up, and I don't think that was her intention. I believe her intention was a catharsis of sorts, to process what had happened to her and to be able to claim her sense of self back. I feel like that was the main point of this existing. But for me as a reader, having similar experiences, it's like, well, I want to go do something. So that's how I've taken that one. Next is Yellow, a book that makes you want to sit in the sun and read. And I realized I forgot to grab it, but it's the Tea Dragon series by Kay O'Neill. And this is, one, because they're short so I don't have to be in the sun long, and two, it's nice and cozy to get into such a beautiful world and be able to snuggle up on a chair in the sun and just enjoy it. Seeing the art style in all its glory in direct sunlight would be stunning, and it's just a beautiful, quick story. So I feel like appropriate for someone that doesn't like going into the sun, but it also fits it quite nicely, and I was rather proud of it when I thought of it. This is just a beautiful story that follows a few different characters throughout various adventures, and the second book isn't following the same characters from the first, but it sort of provides a little bit of backstory to ones that we meet in the first, and it's so wholesome. I love it. And so it's got that comforting vibe of just being able to snuggle down with something you love. Next is Green, a book that makes you feel peaceful. And for this I've gone with The Monk and Robot duology by Becky Chambers. This I was tempted to put on another spot, but I've decided to go with peaceful because the way that Becky just guides you through the world and the conversations that they have, it sort of lends itself to, whilst the characters aren't at peace, the process of being at peace and finding yourself and figuring out what works for you and being content where you're at. There is no need to necessarily aspire to grandeur if you're comfortable where you are, and that is a really lovely, comforting message that gives peace of mind. And so yeah, I thought it was a really sweet narrative, and there's no like major action, there's not battles and fighting, so it is just calm and peaceful, and I loved it. Then we have Blue, a book that breaks your heart. And really, I could have gone with all of these. I was tossing up A God of Lost Words, which absolutely broke me, but I've decided to go with The Female of the Species by Mindy McGuinness because I cannot remember crying harder over a book. I know I sobbed my eyes out in A Heart and the Body and the World and A God of Lost Words, but this just caught me so by surprise that I couldn't process it for months. It was sitting with me and I was in shock and in pain, and it just broke me on several different levels because of the way that it decided to progress. And I'm not mad that it did, I just wasn't expecting it. So it definitely broke me in more ways than one, and my heart still feels for these characters immensely. Then we have Indigo, a book that makes you feel pensive. So this was where I was thinking of putting Monk and Robot because I was reflective throughout it, but I've decided to go with The Singing Hills Cycle by Nevo. This is due to the elements of story and gathering stories throughout, and it gets you reflecting on your own self, your own stories, and different experiences that you've had, different cultures that you've interacted with, and just overall it is a beautifully written book that gets you thinking in ways that you wouldn't expect. And so I feel like the softness of it, and there are more action scenes and battles, but it's not intense, and so you're learning a lesson from that action as well. So I thought that was a nice little fit, and it's so beautiful watching the chronicler just go around and gather stories and tell some of their own. And finally we have Violet, a book that makes you feel uncomfortable. I'm going with It by Stephen King. The cover makes me uncomfortable. This whole book makes me feel uncomfortable. The fact that it's over 1,000 pages makes me feel uncomfortable. This just, it was the first one I thought of. I was like, Stephen King. And then I was like, okay, what one makes me feel the most uncomfortable? Yep, that one. Pennywise as a character freaks me the fuck out. I hate it. And then some of the messages and just language used in it also makes me uncomfortable. All of it just overall is an uncomfortable experience. Love that. So on that lovely note, that is actually the end of this tag. It's just a quick little one, and I wanted to put something out that was light and fluffy for the most part and provide some different recommendations. I still recommend it. I don't recommend Women from Mars. That just gets me furious every time I think about it. The rest I would highly recommend because they are some that are just so close to my heart, and I think it would be fantastic to hear more people talk about them if you would like. So let me know in the comments, what is a book that makes you feel peaceful? So what's your green book? And can you match books to the colors? Are you able to? I could not think of pairing up. No. I can't think of books that would have the cover that would pair to the thing. So if you have a book that is green and makes you feel peaceful, let me know. If not, just a book that makes you feel peaceful. And with that, if you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe. I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!